Welcome back, people. So, Nottingham Forest nil, Arsenal nil. Now, just gonna be real honest with you and tell you straight off the bat, this is not good enough. Simply not good enough, right? Not even close. We had a big opportunity today to widen the gap over City to 9 points. Massive opportunity, right? And guess what? Arsenal didn't turn up. And if you're an Arsenal fan, you've seen this so many times over the years. When the pressure gets on, our boys just don't show up. And I don't know what it is. I think it's a mentality thing, especially I'm pissed off by our captain, Martin Odegaard. And honestly, Odegaard should not be the captain of Arsenal Football Club. As Odegaard is not my captain. Arteta's teacher's pet or whatever it is, right? But Eze should be starting. Eze brings creativity. He brings this wow factor. There's something that Odegaard cannot produce, and our movement is too slow. At the beginning of the game, Madueke had a really good opening 10, 15 minutes, and then he kind of just petered out. The usual, he cannot sustain his attacks for the entire game. And then when we saw Saka come in later on, he brought some extra quality. So I'll get to that later on. But again, guys, as we get into this video, smash that like button, click on the subscribe button. But let's talk about this Arsenal performance today against Nottingham Forest because it was really painful to watch, right? It's obviously a big, massive missed opportunity, right? We all watched as Man City got battered by Man United early in the day, and we're like, yes, there we go. Here's our chance to increase our lead over City, create a 9 point gap, and that was our chance to put this title to bed, right? That was our chance to really put a statement out and show you this is our title after over 22 years, guys. And we missed it. We missed it again. Just like with that draw against Liverpool, and of course, a weakened Liverpool side. We could have smashed them. They didn't have the attackers, not a single shot on target. And I honestly hate to admit it, but it's true, guys. What's holding Arsenal back right now is Mikel Arteta. His tactics, his mindset, he's too defensive. In this game against Nottingham Forest, we could have put Declan Rice in the six, right? Have him sit as the defensive midfielder. Let him sit. We didn't need Zubimendi and Rice playing together in this game, right? Yes, Anderson had a good game. Yes, they were pretty good and pretty dangerous in counter-attack through Hudson-Odoi. But that was it. They had zero shots on target, yet for most of the game, Arteta was too conservative, too cautious, and his willingness or unwillingness to take risk is literally what's holding this team back right now. And we have to admit that right now, we have the best squad in England. And I would say in the world as well, even better than Real Madrid's team. Perhaps only the team that I would compare our squad to is Bayern Munich, because Bayern Munich has so much depth and a lot of quality, and PSG is probably close to it. But Arsenal has the best squad in the world, in my opinion. And we're only being held back because of the mentality, the handbrake of Mikel Arteta. And this brings up the question, does Mikel Arteta really have what it takes to get us over the line, right? Does he have what it takes to help us cross the line and to win the title after so many years? And I think he does, but he's learning very slowly and it's costing us momentum, it's costing us points, and we should be much closer to the title than we are right now. So let's analyze the players, right? And I want to get your guys' take on it. So feel free to leave your comments below. Let me know what you think, right? What did you think about each of the players in there? So let's do a player rating and player performance. So let's talk about Raya, right? So Raya had literally almost nothing to do, right? Apart from some corners and some, tricky situations where he had to come out and clear the ball, and he missed one of those in the second half. But Raya was pretty calm. Very good defender. I would say defender because he did some last minute defending as well, right? As a keeper stopper. So Raya had very little to do today, but yet still, you saw it with Raya with a 9 out of 10. Very solid performance. Very, confident with his distribution. But again, we can't really rate him that much because he wasn't really tested, to be honest, right? So Timber struggled today, in my opinion. Timber doesn't look the same at left back. It's of course you could tell it's not his natural position. I think he looks a lot better when he plays with Saka on the right, and overlapping. He's just kind of he looks like a fish out of water. So he's not in his best position. So I'm gonna cut him some slack here, and I would give Timber a 7 or 8 out of 10 because I think he was pretty good defensively. He had some really good tackles with Hudson-Odoi, and he saved us a few times. So Timber had a pretty solid game, no complaints. Zubamendi, right? Zubamendi, in my opinion, was anonymous, right? In this type of game where we have the team Northern Forest sitting deep, playing in the low block, Zubamendi is surplus to requirements. He's an extra, right? He doesn't really impact the game as much. He helped out. He provided some cover defensively a few times, especially for Ben White on the right, on the left hand side. But Zubamendi on the right hand side, I should say. But Zubamendi is not this type of game is not suited for Zubamendi's style, right? He's really more dominant when teams open up, and then he can make those aggressive runs as well, and also cover and provide cover for the defense. But I wouldn't say that Zubamendi was at his best today, right? Because it's not the type of game that's really suited to him. So I'm not going to knock him too much. So I'll give Zubamendi a standard 6 out of 10. Rice tried today, but of course, clearly he wasn't at his best, right? Because of the congestion, I saw that he tried to go up and play the 8 role and be more advanced and really support Trossard and Martinelli and give them that extra option. But this is where I would fault Mikel Arteta because when it doesn't work, he's too reactive. He doesn't anticipate those changes that need to be made. And I felt like Rice has been underused. I would use Rice more in the 10 role and push him a bit further and make some bombing runs and just overload the midfield. But again, Rice moving in and out of positions didn't really work today, right? So Rice tried his best, but not at his best today, and a bit underwhelming to be honest. Um, except he had that one cross in the second half for Saka when he crossed it on his left foot, and Saka had that header and almost scored, right? So I would give Rice a standard 7 out of 10. Well, just a little above average, but 7 out of 10 because I feel like he had a great game. Not a great game, but he was not poor as well. Now, let's move on to our captain. So we opened up this video and we were pretty honest about Odegaard. Martin Odegaard is a talented player, right? One of the most talented players in the squad. But according to Tony Adams, which I have to agree with right now, does he have the steel? Does he have the spine? Because I saw Odegaard being bullied off the ball. I saw him losing 50-50 challenges. I saw him looking really small in the box. At Nottingham Forest, their team is huge, right? They have a lot of tall players, and Odegaard looked out of place. He doesn't have the drive. He doesn't have the intensity. He doesn't have the aggressiveness to be a top-level midfielder in the Premier League. Yes, he can play a cute pass. But when it comes to really battling and fighting it out, he doesn't have the physical stature for it. And this is where you need to be clever, right? And if you compare Odegaard to like a Bernardo Silva, who plays a similar type role, but who's the captain, he has more grit, he has more bite, he's a little more, he's nastier. And that's what I want to see from Odegaard. I want to see him change up his game when it requires a dogfight. Show us that you can do it. And so far this season, Odegaard has gone missing way too often. I've never seen another captain at a top club get substituted so often. And that tells the story in itself. Martin Odegaard is not captain material for Arsenal, especially if we're trying to lift the Premier League. In my opinion, Declan Rice should be our captain. Yes, Martin Odegaard has leadership ability, but too often we are not seeing it on the pitch, right? We have to be honest. And again, it's been our story for the last few years as an Arsenal fan. Attack is the problem. That front three of Madueke, Gyökeres, and Martinelli will not win us a title. And we understand now from Mikel Arteta, he came out and he gave his post-match reaction and basically said he had to rest and rotate Saka, especially because he had a niggle and some injury issues. Totally fine, right? But Madueke, again, exciting. But where is the end product? Where is the output? And I think that's the reason why Chelsea sold him. Let's be honest, right? This guy has a lot of potential. I actually saw him when he played for PSV. I was a big fan. I wanted Arsenal to get him, so I'm not going to knock him. But the end product, goals and assists, is not there. And that's why right now he and Saka is on a different level because Madueke has a lot of activity going on. He can beat his man one-on-one. He's more direct than Saka. I think he has more pace than Saka. But when it comes to decision making and end product, Saka is miles ahead, right? And if you look at the best wingers in the world, the best players in the world, look at Lamine Yamal. At the end of the day, it's about producing goals and assists, right? Creating opportunities for your team. And he had this one opportunity he created for Martinelli in the first half, and Martinelli missed it. Glorious opportunity. But again, I don't even think that was intentional on Madueke's part. He was just trying to strike the ball in the box after the corner, rebound from the corner, and again, not enough end product. Now let's move on to Gyökeres, right? Where do we start, right? Gyökeres, obviously, in my opinion, is not an elite striker, right? He can do a job, but he's not an elite striker. And here is the reason why he's not elite, in my opinion. Gyökeres lacks a yard of pace. He doesn't have the pace to compete with the Premier League's fastest defenders and best defenders. And as a result, he struggles. And that's exactly what happened with the chance where Murillo, I think it was, missed the ball. Then Gyökeres was able to get ahead of him, rushed onto the box, right at the top of the box, and he allowed Murillo to recover, so much so that Murillo put a block in, chance gone. So Gyökeres looks like he's short on confidence because, of course, we are not playing to his strength. Saka on the right side likes to cut in with his left foot, and he doesn't look for Gyökeres on the first instance. Same thing was true for Trossard when he starts. He starts on the left, but he cuts it on his right, and a lot of times he's not looking up. He's always trying to score because our wingers try to score before they get an assist, and that's a big, big problem that Mikel Arteta needs to solve very, very soon. All right, so here's the situation. When it comes to our attack, right, and this is what I see Mikel Arteta crying for. That's why I'm not going to blame him too much on today's performance. I believe that the players deserve a lot of the responsibility for today's draw. When it comes to big games and stepping up, Mikel Arteta has been asking for one of our front players, our attackers, to shine, to do something magical, to create something out of nothing. And that is where Arsenal lack right now. We lack star power. We know Saka is our star boy. He's a star player. But if Saka doesn't do it, nobody else steps up, right? Wouldn't you agree? Nobody else steps up. Odegaard goes missing. Rice does step up, but of course his main job is not attack, right? He's a box-to-box midfielder. But we don't have that star player. Martinelli, I think we need an upgrade on Martinelli. He's been a great servant. He's good off the bench. But in terms of giving you that wow factor, we don't have that consistent star player. And I think if we can get Vinny Jr., that's a big if. But if we can get somebody of that quality, Rodrigo, Vinny Jr., that person who can deliver something magical, a great 1-2, a great, create something out of nothing. Basically be a hero. That's what we need. We need players who are of the caliber of Thierry Henry, Burkamp, Nicolas Anelka, Canu, like Will Todd, Lumberg. These guys created something out of nothing, right? Even though Van Persie, I know Van Persie is not popular at Arsenal anymore, but Alexis Sanchez, something of brilliance, something individual. That's what we need. And right now, we're struggling because we don't have star power. And as a result, we're struggling. So that's my assessment of the players in general. Of course, I didn't mention Saliba and Gabriel because we know they're rock solid performance, not a single shot on target conceded, and we know how Gabriel throws himself, in front of the ball. He's just, he's captain material, right? So if he wasn't captain, I would give it to Declan Rice, but I can't say anything else about the defense. Overall, the team was pretty flat because no one stepped up, right? No one really showed the balls to really put their stamp on the game and say, hey, I'm the man. And that's what we're lacking right now, especially in attack. And Declan Rice can only do so much, right? Now, let's move on to Arteta. Let's talk about Arteta. I started the show by explaining my reservations and my thoughts about Arteta. And like I said, I don't think today's results was primarily on Arteta, but the team selection, right? I think he explained that I'm not blaming Arteta for the result per se, But the mentality of the team, when we need to be risk-taking and aggressive, I think Arteta is very conservative. He's too cautious. And his cautious approach, I think, transmits throughout the entire team. And a lot of times we play not to lose as opposed to we play to win. Now, Arteta did come out in his press conference and he said, yes, we wanted to win the game. We tried to win the game. And of course, every single manager is going to say that, right? But when you look at the team structure, I mean, look at the first sub, for example. Arteta brought on Mikel Moreno, right, in place of Martin Odegaard. Now, Moreno came in to play the number 10 role before Eze ever hit the pitch. Now, that tells you something because it tells you that he wants to maintain the structure, right, do the hard yards and be able to press. And that's where probably Moreno has the edge on Eze. Moreno is probably going to work harder. He's going to track back. He's going to defend. He has a height. He has a presence in the box. But it tells you something about Arteta's mindset. His preference is to preserve what he has, be safe, rather than go gung-ho and lose it. And I think that's what separates him from the great managers like Pep, Alex Ferguson, and Arsene Wenger in his glory days. They were willing to take the risk. They were willing to just gamble a bit. But Mikel Arteta is not a gambler. And as a result, he's always too safe. And where we can press the advantage and take the extra chance, he doesn't do it, and we suffer for it. And again, for example, Mikel Arteta could have rolled the dice. He could have played two strikers, right? He could have said, you know what, let's go for it. Let's leave on Marino, right? And Marino can do well in the box. He had a chance where he glanced the header. Of course, he missed it. He could have, leave on Marino. No issue with that. But what about bringing on Havertz and keeping on Gyökeres, right? There are all of these things that he could have done. And again, we know the story. We know exactly what Mikel Arteta's subs are going to be like. He does it time and time again. Where do we go from here, guys? Like, I'm optimistic. I believe that we are going to win the league. I believe that we are favorites. I think City has some really tough games. They still need to go to Anfield. Of course, we need to visit their ground. If we get a draw there, we're fine. So I still think we're going to win the league, but we're making it a lot more difficult than it needs to be by not pressing home the advantage, right? And of course, looking forward to next week against Manchester United. 3 points. It has to be 3 points. There's no way we can slip up anymore. If not, we're going to give Villa the chance to get back into it. And it's going to be a lot of, an easy watching over the next few weeks. But again, guys, let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you agree, disagree. I'd love to hear from you. Of course, if you haven't yet, smash that like button, click on the subscribe button. And looking forward to connecting with you guys. And would love to hear your thoughts. And until next one, bye for now.